I keep trying to go a little bit easier with each subsequent video. It is hard to practice these skills, but also feel like I need to explain everything and cover all my tracks. This is hard. Don't feel too sorry for me. I'm learning a ton. So thank you for being here to watch this video. I'm trying to go even easier on this one. So as I have continued my quest to find potential stories or sources to use to practice the SIFT framework, which was created by Mike Caulfield, I was on Twitter last night, which would have been January 7th, 2021, and came across this guy. I don't know who he is. That's a little joke because I'm married to him. That would be Dave Stachowiak. And so he posted this on Twitter last night, quoting Blaise Pascal: "All of humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone." That is the I was going to say the claim, that Blaise Pascal actually said that that's the claim that I am testing today. So remember that we first want to stop. I didn't have really any temptation to forward this, given how I was so tired as I was reading it. I do trust Dave that he doesn't, between the two of us, if we were keeping score, which we're not, but I am the person who flubbed a quote many years ago, but it still stays with me that I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm very careful with quotes because I don't want to do that. So people look kind of ridiculous, but sometimes it's like because it's embarrassing, but also sometimes it's just because it's has some sort of injustice associated with it, the ways in which things get misattributed and taken out of context, etc. So anyway, the source in this case is my husband. I know that he's not careless about this stuff. He is unlikely to post quotes that weren't really said by the person. He is interested in maintaining his own credibility as well as just being an educated person. So it would be unlikely he would post something, but it's not impossible. So, and since I'm practicing the skills anyway, decided to do it. Finding other trusted coverage was hard. So when I had Mike Caulfield on the podcast, Teaching in Higher Ed podcast, I thought that he had talked about a good place to go, but I just searched the transcript and can't find it, and it wasn't in the link. So maybe I saw that from him elsewhere, but I found a library guide from a reputable university. I just don't have it open on my screen. It's not like I'm trying to hide it, but they recommended WikiQuote as well as Quote Investigator. And I think one of those two is the one that he recommended. The Quote Investigator one's kind of interesting because he actually does the deep dive that, I'm not doing now on some of the common quotes that are misattributed to people. And it was an interesting thing to go look at the site and all of that. So I couldn't quite get where I wanted to there. And then so I did just a search for the quote, but not in quotation marks in case, a word was different or whatever, and came up with a mix of things. As you would imagine, a lot of bloggers talk about this. I saw on a question asking website, Quora, someone quoted this and said, "What do y'all think? Do you agree with this?" And so there was enough here for me to be reasonably sure that this was probably an actual quote from Blaise Pascal, and this Guardian quote, this little snippet here, is the closest in terms of representative to stuff that made me think it's probably there, and that, comes to tracing the claims also and quotes back to the original context, which, given that was in the year 16 something. He lived from 1623 to 1662. So finding those original sources are going to be a bit more hard. I'm sure it's possible, but because the quote is from his writing. So yeah. But anyway, the articles that I was seeing were more like referring to way back then. Can you imagine that he said that at a time when we didn't have cell phones, for example, and so now thinking about it in the context for today and our propensity to get distracted by such things, that's where a lot of the quote ends up getting used. And so my conclusion is it is highly likely that this quote is attributable to Blaise Pascal. Thanks for watching today's video.